Chris, really good to see you. I have an important question. Who needs long-term care insurance? And the reason I'm asking is because more than 70% of adults who live to age 65 will need long-term care. Not only is it very expensive, but also it's not covered by Medicare or other health insurance plans for the most part. So again, let's just start at the top. Who even needs long-term care insurance?
Aaron, great to see you again, and thank you. It really is an important topic, and it can unravel or dishevel even the most robust long-term care retirement plan, right? So people, when they're planning for retirement, quite often will say, "Oh, it's not going to happen to me,"
Right.
or "Oh, I have enough money, I don't need long-term care," because they think they have to buy a policy. And in the past, as the industry was trying to figure this out, long-term care insurance can be really expensive.
Hmm.
But one of the things that I don't think most families are given consideration to is the consequences of not having some type of plan in place, whether that be insurance or some other feature. And what I mean by that is the stress that it can have on a family, right? My son right now has recently gone through the loss of his grandmother.
Hmm.
And one of the things I've seen is that the burden on family members to try and take care of a loved one is often overlooked or not even considered in the economic aspect or the financial aspect. There's this generation that I call the sandwich generation.
Yep.
These are younger folks that have kids that might be in elementary school, grade school, high school, or college, and they already have the responsibilities of taking care of the family for their children, and then aging parents.
Right.
So one of them, may have to put their career on hold. I see this becoming more and more of a trend where people that are high income earners having to actually stop to go take care of a loved one to make sure that the care is provided for the person that they love. And it was
Hmm.
never really designed to be that way.
That's why they're known as the sandwich generation. That's such a great point, Chris. So, as we realize that this consideration really is about a family consideration, I want to walk through a couple questions. You said the first one you should ask yourself is where would you want care? And I know you present on this a lot. So, let's chat about this. Basically, we need to ask ourselves, where do we want to be when we're sick?
Yeah, great question again, Aaron. And, when I'm speaking with folks, I said, let me just ask you, if you were to get sick, where would you want to be cared for?
Hmm.
And, 88% of people will say most often they will say their house, their current environment that they're in. And there's no right or wrong answer here, but wherever you choose to have that care, then the next logical question, but if we can go to the next slide, Aaron, we can start to anticipate what the cost is. I'm sorry, not the slide,
The cost of care. Yep. Sorry, Chris. No problem. But yeah, let's talk about that because cost has to always be a consideration. So this is a great comparison that shows monthly costs of care. And this ranges in obviously your New Jersey area anywhere from $5,100 a month to almost $13,000 a month. So then the question becomes, how am I going to pay for this?
Agreed. And I've lived this firsthand. I've been in business over 30 years, have put long-term care strategies in place. But quite often when I'm dealing with, I had a client that has now since passed away. He and his spouse passed away. But I remember he is a business owner. Said, it's why am I going to do that? It's too
Mhm.
expensive, right? Even as a business owner who could get a tax deduction on the premiums for some type of contract or policy. What I said to him at 300 plus pounds, I said, your wife is 120, 130 pounds. How many times can she lift you in and out of bed?
Right.
So he finally listened to me and he put something in place. Now, at the end of the day, once he passed, he elected ultimately let it cancel. When she went to a facility here in New Jersey, it was costing an excess of $100,000 a year. And
Wow.
although they had over $2 million when they retired, they almost were bankrupt by the time after all the care was paid for. And a lot of people just don't think about that when they're looking at their specific in time, right now circumstances that
Mhm.
things can change.
Right. Yeah. And you bring up such a good point that this can absolutely wipe out your retirement savings. So let's talk about a couple of ways to, again, pay for that care. And one option is self funding.
Yeah, so which asset would you want to use first, right? So if you got to pay for this, and a lot of people will, they'll have a family gathering, they'll come up with the strategy, and let's say that there are several siblings in place, and ultimately one person is going to be in charge of taking care of that, right? So maybe they, like I said before, they put something on pause. But maybe the mom or dad had an IRA, or maybe the home, right? And they go, well, we'll just use the house. Well, depending on what you do prior to getting sick will determine how you go about preserving the asset or actually being efficient. Or maybe they don't have any assets at all. And now maybe they have to use cash flow. So redirecting, depending on what the circumstances are, right? So that they can turn around and pay for the facility. If you're going to have somebody come into your home, there's a cost.
Yeah,
If you're going to go to a nursing home, there's a cost. And quite often people don't look at the cost until it's DEFCON 9 or a crisis red alert. So we just try and help people to really talk about these hard topics, because nobody wants to imagine mom or dad not being here anymore.
absolutely. Right, right.
And so we're just here to have that conversation and allow them to sort of make sure we're not biased one way or another, but there are strategies that can be utilized.
Right.
Self-funding is always one of them, but there
And
are
then
other.
another good option, Chris, I keep hearing more and more about this asset-based long-term care. Explain what that is.
So quite often, people will say, "Hey, I got my IRA and I'll use that." Well, as you pull money out, right, we have to pay tax on that. Well, we defer the taxation of that. What if we could take some of these qualified funds and redirect that to pay for the long-term care directly? The IRS has now allowed codes with the Pension Protection Act, or Section 7702B of the Internal Revenue Code allows for the use of long-term care not only to be maybe tax-free, but on we can take money that was tax deferred in an IRA and actually have it pay for the long-term care tax-free. So it's very, very powerful, and it can create leverage, this pool of money that can help preserve the estate as well.
Mhm. And then another option would be to consider hybrid annuities. How do these work?
So, here's the thing. Not everybody's insurable, right? If
Right?
you're going to look at some type of long-term care, there are questionnaires. And depending on your specifics, right, you could already have onsets of dementia or Alzheimer's, or something that is really, deteriorating, Parkinson's, right? Any of these diseases will be an instant no with the long-term care insurance. But hybrid annuities allow us, if you cannot perform 2 out of 6 ADLs, which stands for activities of daily living, that it will in fact allow the money that is in that contract used for long-term care to either be doubled or to be actually multiplied to some better or greater percentage than you would have if you had paid for it directly with a cash flow standpoint.
Interesting. It's nice to know there are other options to consider, especially like you mentioned, if you don't qualify for the long-term care insurance. So, Chris, I know that again, if you could, it's clear to see how much advanced planning goes into this, and you are working on kind of an advanced designation. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so the certified long-term care designation, I have some letters after my name, but I felt it important that, as I saw the CLTC, it's important. I'm learning a few things. I will have that designation in the next couple of weeks, but it really has really opened my eyes again to the consequences and the stress that is put on family members trying to help their loved ones. And it really is helping me to really pay attention and make sure that we're having these conversations with our clients or prospective clients in an effort to help them solve whatever their specifics are.
Hmm. And I know that it is so important to you to be educating your friends and community about this. So you have some other events and even a book that goes along with those events.
Yeah, so this book I co-branded. It's tax-free benefits for long-term care in a post-COVID environment. So anybody that comes to one of our upcoming events, it is going to be, we have Mercer County Community College. This will be our first one of the year. That's over here in just near Princeton. And then also we have Rutgers Business School. They're allowing people back in. So we're scheduling an event there. Anybody that attends that event will have get a free copy of the book. and we're really here to help. And New Jersey 101.5, that's a local radio station. You may be hearing us a lot on there. And it's just because this message is so important that we're just trying to get it out there for everybody.
And proactive planning is so important too. So, Chris, if anybody has questions about what we've chatted about today, or if they'd like more information about those seminars, what's the best way to reach you?
So our website is professionalplanningservices.com. And then if you want to see upcoming events, schedule an event, they can just go there and look for upcoming events. They can register directly. And then you can always call our office, 732-302-1810. We're here to help. Both Caitlin and Keith in my office are both long-term care specialists as well. But collectively, as a team, we're helping people to make good decisions on a go forward.
So important. All right, Chris, thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Have a great day.
You too.